So in the previous video, I was showing that if science was aware of the theory and still elected to pursue physicalism, then that shows science to be very problematic ethically. And if you take that on face value, then you might say, hey, okay, let's just forget this thing called science. Let's go back to older wisdom. Let's go back to religion. Let's go back to scripture. Well, the thing is, I don't think that works either. So yes, I did argue that you can find the principles of the theory in the Judeo-Christian Bible, way in the story of Genesis, way back there, and you can find more if you insist on looking. But there are other things that don't fit, and like in religion, that don't fit with the theory. Most notably is the whole idea of eternal judgment, or the idea of souls. I made lots of videos about it. Okay, forget that for a moment. I think that the religions have kind of like benefited from this kind of dismissal of science, of the religious, of the supernatural, and made it so that we have lost the ability we don't have the ability to actually understand anything beyond the distinction of natural and supernatural. We're kind of stuck at that level, and the theory shows that that's actually it's too broad a brush, and there's conflicting possibilities there. So you know about the distinction between the natural and the supernatural, but what is the distinction between the natural and the supernatural? Well, it's not the right distinction. It's not that there's like a set of laws that are the supernatural, and then there's another set of laws that are the natural, and they somehow complement each other. It's not. That's not at all the structure that the theory shows. The theory shows a different structure. You have different types of supernatural, and they are distinct, and they are. So let me. Okay. So the natural. These are the laws of nature. These are the same laws that are affect everyone equally, and that you can build a science on. That's the theory calls the public blind gap, and the theory argues that they work by consensus, by everyone agreeing. These laws, they don't actually these laws of nature, they don't actually exist as elements in the space that we interact in, but rather they are things that don't appear in it and still affect it. It's what I call a blind gap, and this is the public blind gap, the thing that we share. That's the natural. So one type of supernatural would be the private blind gap, would be laws that affect only some or only one experiential agent, and don't affect everyone else. Now, insofar as they give someone some kind of benefit or drawback, then that's one type of supernatural. That's something that the laws of nature can't account for, but it is not essentially. It's not different from the laws of nature. It works by using the exact same mechanism. Same bodily mechanism. It's simply private. And I made videos about that, explaining that more thoroughly. But that's not everything that is supernatural. You also have this thing. So you have lots. You have the supernatural in the sense of power brains. So we think that we are like computers, and everything that we do is determined by one machine, and that machine, we assume that would be the brain, and something that our behaviors. Now, the concept of power brains, which I explained in previous videos, shows that that's not the case. You will not find all the motivators of your behavior inside your brain, because there are parallel brains all trying to affect the same avatar in the shared reality. So you have this kind. We call it subconscious, but the idea is that you won't be able to track all of these dynamics in the physical world, because they are not in your physical world. In your physical world, you have your brain. You don't see the other brain, these para peers. So that's, and if you go into into lore, then you'd have idea of demonic possession. They could be misunderstanding of this principle of basically what you consider otherwise a subconscious gone rogue, something like that. That's supernatural, but that has nothing to do with private blind gap. That's a different dynamic altogether. That's not a law of nature that's private. That's something else. And then you have also the distributed power pairs, which are basically the substrate of what you otherwise called God. These are basically experiential agents that affect masses of people. They manifest through masses of people. They fit very well with the idea of gods according to religions. The only problem is that they are not, they can affect, when they affect a lot of people, they can seem omnipotent, but they're not really omnipotent. And they are as strong as the amount of people that believe them. They don't have power not just believe them, affected by them. They don't have power without them granting them that. But there are things that are bigger than that are not so subjective, not so dependent on their constituents, and these are inconsistent elements. That's another thing. That's another type of supernatural. This is the strongest supernatural there is. This is the kind of stuff that can basically do everything. It breaches not the laws of nature. It breaches consistency. So they are more. So this is another type of supernatural, and of course there is metatemporal evolution, which is a capacity that we all have to change reality outside the laws of nature through experiential leaps. That's another aspect of the theory. So you have here 6 things. You have you have the public blind gap, private blind gap, power pairs, distributed power pairs, inconsistent elements, and metatemporal evolution. All of these. And what happens? What did religions do? They made it appear as if that thing they call God is responsible for all of this. It's controlling all of this. But that's not the case. And science, which is supposed to be opposed to it, simply said all this stuff is bullshit. So there's no argument to be made about that, because all of this is wrong. So it basically gave up all these aspects of reality for religions to claim as if it owns them, as if it knows how to manipulate them, while in actuality the situation was always much more complex and no one knew.